so that you can get started doing nature study with confidence. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe so that you can get more videos about nature study and getting started with nature journals for beginners. There's a lot of information out there about how to do nature study and what the correct thing to do to get nature study done is. So in this video, I am just covering the 4 basic elements of nature study so that you can have more confidence when you do nature study with your children. So the 4 elements, just 4 elements of nature study are you ready? Number 1, doing nature walks. Number 2 is reading about nature. Number 3 is using a nature journal. And number 4 is doing object lessons or looking more closely to observe a very specific piece of nature that you have decided ahead of time that you're going to study. So we're going to break all those down now. Keep watching. If you want to know a little bit more about what nature study is, I will link below to my video called What is Nature Study so that you can see a little bit more about the big picture, because now we're getting into the tactics. So let's start off with the first one, doing nature walks. I would say that overall, anyone who's talking about nature study is always talking about getting outside regularly and going for a walk, or just observing your local surroundings. So this can look like doing a nature walk regularly around your neighborhood, or it could also be going on an excursion, maybe to the mountains or the ocean, or something that's maybe close by to you that is less industrialized and more natural. So a nature walk is really important because 1, it helps get us outside, and 2, it allows us to start to train our eyes and our minds to pay closer attention. So when we're on the nature walk, perhaps we're looking for something in particular, perhaps we're just enjoying being outside. But in our modern world, it's really easy to forget this step. So let's make sure that we're getting outside regularly and going for a walk or exploring nature habitually as part of our weekly routine. If you can make it part of your daily routine, that would be amazing. Okay, so our next point in the 4 elements of doing nature study is reading. So this is something that in the Charlotte Mason method that they did in their schools in the early 1900s, where they would read about whatever it was that they were studying. And there's so much to read now. So I love to stick with a few authors for particular genres that I really can trust. So for my smaller kids, I use Gail Gibbons's books, and she just does a really good job of introducing topics such as apples or pumpkins or how pollination works or the weather. She has a ton of books. So I'll link down to those below in the description, so be sure to check those out. So one thing that I like to do as we're reading is we're not reading a ton each time we sit down. I might read a chapter from a book, depending on how long it is, if it is a chapter book, or I'll just set a timer and kind of pay attention. So I might just read for maybe 10 minutes, 1 time a week. So it's in my morning basket routine. And if you don't know what a morning basket is, I'll link to Pam Barnhill's website because she can explain all of that over there. So reading once a week, just as part of our reading rotation, really helps to train our eyes and teach us a lot about the natural world. It really doesn't have to be more than that, because we're also, as you'll see, doing a few other things. We're also going on a nature walk, and that leads us into our next one, which is number 3, using a nature journal. So using a nature journal is something that we cultivate as a habit in our families, that we can, some people like to make sure that they're touching them daily. I've found that twice a week is sufficient for me to be able to regularly bring them out. So we'll usually do one session where we do the reading, and then they use their nature journals to journal about the reading. And then we do another session where they are doing an object lesson, and they're journaling about the object that either they've found outside or I've brought in, or like I've got some cotton here I've ordered online and brought into our home, and I'll link below to how to do an object lesson, because I'll show you in another video how to do an object lesson with cotton. So just using our nature journals regularly helps, again, training that habit to have that be a part of our lives. So the 4th element of doing nature study is really object lessons. So like I said, I'll link below to an example of what that can look like, but essentially you're getting perhaps a pumpkin or a strawberry or maybe a dandelion from outside, you're bringing it inside, and you're looking at it more closely. And you might take it apart and try to find the different elements of it. If it's a pumpkin, you might be looking at the skin or the stem, and really just asking a ton of questions. Now, the Handbook of Nature Study, which I'll link to below in the description, has a really great setup for asking questions. However, that book can be super overwhelming. So I have actually come up with a series of books that simplify the object lesson portion and marry it with doing nature journals. So I will also link to that below, and you can download for free some nature study lessons on flowers that I've put together, so that you can just get started right away and not even have to think about, okay, well, how do I get all this done? But hopefully I've given you a few tools that you can get started with. So I'd love to know, which of these elements of nature study are you currently doing, and which ones are a little bit challenging, or maybe that you're not doing at all. If you could leave me a comment below this video, then I'll be able to see what you're doing, and we can also see what one another are, what challenges each other are having, and then also please tell us what's working for you. Please don't forget to hit like on this video and subscribe so that you can get more videos about nature study. See you next time.